Hello, good morning students. In our today's lesson, we shall look at the main characteristics of the tropical rainforests. Then we shall also go ahead to look at the problems experienced in the process of exploitation of the tropical rainforests. Then lastly, we shall conclude with the solutions which are in place to handle the problems affecting the exploitation of the tropical rainforests. Without wasting time, let's begin with the characteristics of the tropical rainforests. There was a certain photograph I gave you. I want you to study that photograph closely. That photograph is also available in our dashboard, in our platform. You open, you will see that photograph. You study it critically, and you will find that most of the characteristics that we are going to discuss here are there in that photograph. Then probably I will also put for you a video of the tropical rainforests so that you will see those characteristics critically. But in as much as the characteristics are concerned, first of all, the tropical rainforests have broad leaves. The leaves are so broad in order to capture enough sunlight. You will realize that one of the problems of the tropical rainforest trees is a shortage of light, especially in the underfloor trees. So the leaves have spread so broad so that they can be able to capture enough sunlight to be able to sustain the trees in terms of photosynthesis. Then secondly, the trees of the tropical rainforests are evergreen throughout the year. They do not shed off their leaves. Why? Because the rain continues throughout the year. There is no season when there is no rainfall. So there are no seasons in the tropical rainforest areas. Rainfall is there from January to January. So there is no need for the trees to shed off their leaves, unlike in the savanna type of vegetation. Then thirdly, the tropical rainforests, the tree species grow very tall. They can grow up to the average of 40 meters tall, and the trees are highly enormous, huge. They have huge stems, so they are very huge trees which grow very tall in the tropical rainforest areas. Then the tropical rainforests have also evolved large bottom roots known as buttress roots. But the buttress roots spread of the roots of the tropical rainforest above the ground level. The buttress roots are very wide or broad so that it can be able to withstand the heavy weight of the tropical rainforest, so that the buttress root can be able to withstand the height of the tropical rainforest, so that it cannot easily break down. Then the buttress root also evolves because of the fact that the mineral requirements of the trees in the tropical rainforest areas are near the surface. So the trees spread their roots near the ground surface, other than sending it very deep under the ground, like the one of the savanna vegetation. So, but the essence here is that they have large buttress roots. Then another important thing is that the trees in the tropical rainforest have few branches. Most of the branches sprout at the highest peak of the trees. And these branches, you don't find actually branches at the lower stem of the tropical rainforest, but they occur at the top of the upper layer of the trees. Then also one thing you need to know about the tropical rainforest is that there are thousands of tree species located within the tropical rainforest. You go to a tropical rainforest like Mabira, you will find a variety of tree species, different types of trees located within the tropical rainforest. Maybe this is because of the nature of the climate, which promotes the growth of various types of trees. Then another thing with this tropical rainforests is that the tree species do not have what we call pure stand. The trees of the tropical rainforest, much as there are thousands of tree species, they do not have pure stand. In other words, within a located area of the tropical rainforest, you cannot find only one type of tree species. For example, if you have a location of about maybe 1 hectare of land in the tropical rainforest, you will find within this 1 hectare of land there are over 100 tree species located there. So these tree species are intermixed. They are mixed together, and therefore it gives it lack of pure stand. Then another thing that you need to know about the tropical rainforest is that the tree species produce hardwoods. For example, we have the mahogany, they produce hardwoods. We have the nivule, they produce hardwoods. We have the ironwoods. We have the ebony. Ebony, I think, produces the hardest stuff in the tropical rainforests. Then another thing is that the tropical rainforests can form about 3 different layers, 3 to 5 different layers, and these layers are distinct. You have the upper layer of the trees where the tree tops merge together. Then you have the middle layer of the trees. Then you have the lower layers, which are mainly dominated by epiphytes. So there are about 3 different layers constituting the tropical rainforests. Then besides, these trees produce continuous cover at the top. The tree branches at the top merge together to form continuous floor at the top of the trees, and that continuous floor of the trees is what we call interlocking canopies, where the tree branches join together or they merge together at the top, and the merging together of the tree species at the top will block the sunlight from reaching down to the floor of the tropical rainforests. So that is a very important characteristics of the tropical rainforest. They have continuous cover of what we call the interlocking canopies. Now, as I said, these interlocking canopies prevent light from reaching to the floor of the tropical rainforests. So this therefore means that at the ground level, on the floor of the tropical rainforest, you don't have other trees growing. You don't have shrubs, you don't have these small trees. But you rather find a clean floor of the tropical rainforest because of very limited light penetration through the interlocking canopies from reaching to the floor of the trees. Remember, in your biology, light is very important for trees to produce their own food by means of photosynthesis. So it means if the light does not reach down to the floor of the tropical rainforest, the floor of the tropical rainforest will definitely have no other plants growing from the ground level. Then also there are a number of tree species known as stranglers. These are trees which begin to grow on a host tree or on another tree. Then as it grows, it increases in height, it increases in size, and eventually it kills its host or the tree that on which it had grown. It strangles it to death. So those trees are what we call stranglers or strangling trees, which are very common in the tropical rainforest areas. So those are the various characteristics of the tropical rainforest which make them so unique from other types of vegetation, like the savanna type of vegetation, like the desert vegetation type, and other forms of vegetation in the world. So, the second aspect of this lesson is to look at the problems facing the exploitation of the tropical rainforests in East Africa. These problems mainly emerge out of the characteristics of the tropical rainforests. The problems also emerge out of the economy of our country, of our region. The problem also emerge out of some other physical conditions. And what are these problems? Number one, the people who are involved in the exploitation in the tropical rainforest use poor technology. For example, you will find the lumbermen use axe or pangas for cutting the trees. You can't cut a tree, a huge tree, using panga or an axe. You need at least, at the most, hand-driven saws. But even today, the hand-driven saws are too small that they may not be able to manage effectively the tropical rainforest exploitation. There are other more advanced technology which we do not have here in East Africa. So there is a poor technology which is still being used in the exploitation of the tropical rainforests. Then also, there is a problem of poor transport in most of these areas of the tropical rainforests. This implies that the transportation of the forest products to the market is difficult because of the poor roads. Sometimes you will find roads are not even there. Even where the roads exist, they are affected by weather. Sometimes they develop potholes, the lorries get stuck. So it has become a problem in the areas of the tropical rainforest. So it makes exploitation a complicated business. Thirdly, there is a shortage of capital, as is the case of most of the African countries. In East Africa, we also have problem of shortage of capital to be invested in the exploitation of the tropical rainforests. There is a need to have money for investment in buying machines, using modern machines for cutting down the trees. There is a need to construct the roads in the forests to transport the forest products, and all these things need a capital, and yet we do not have the capital to be invested into the exploitation of the tropical rainforest. So this has greatly affected the progress in the exploitation of the tropical rainforests. Besides, we have problem of shortage of skilled manpower. We have manpower, yes, because the region is training students every time to acquire skills. But the skills, first of all, we give to these students are not appropriate for the exploitation of the tropical rainforest. And that's why probably in Uganda today, the government is changing the curriculum to produce manpower. But of now, we have that shortage of skilled manpower to be employed in the exploitation of the tropical rainforest. We have a shortage of engineers. We have a shortage of administrators. We need also accountants, and probably we also need entrepreneurs who are not there. And these are all the skilled personnel that are needed in the exploitation of the tropical rainforests. Besides the shortage of skilled manpower, we as a region in East Africa also suffer from problem of acute shortage of market for these forest products. People are poor, and therefore they do not have money to spend for buying timber. They do not have money to spend to buy timber products like furniture and so many other products. So this has killed interests in or desire in the exploitation of the tropical rainforests. Besides, we have another problem of physical condition. The exploitation of the tropical rainforest is affected by lack of pure stand in the areas of the tropical rainforests. I had explained what pure stand means, but let me explain again. The trees in the tree species in the tropical rainforest areas are intermixed together, or they are heterogeneous. There is no possibility of finding within one location only one type of tropical rainforest. So this has made exploitation very difficult, because if you want, for example, to exploit only mivule tree species, which is needed in the market, then you have to cut one tree from one location, then you have to travel several meters away within that thick forest to go and get another mivule tree. So it becomes very tiresome to do this job because of lack of pure stand. And this has affected greatly the exploitation of the tropical rainforests. Besides, we also have another physical problem of the tropical rainforests, and that is the presence of buttress roots. These buttress roots are enormous roots, very huge roots that project above the level of the ground. And yet this is the spot where the trees have to be cut from the ground level. So this means the trees will have to be cut from above, very far, high above the ground level. And this makes the cutting process very, very hard and sometimes risky, because of the fact that it is cut from a higher level. And when it is cut from a lower level, it can even break the machines. So it is a rather complicated problem for the lumbermen in the tropical rainforests. And this has greatly affected the exploitation of the forest resources. We have also problem of gestation. Gestation means the number of years that the tree takes to grow and mature and become ready for exploitation. Some of these hardwood tree species can even take 100 years to be exploited. And that is why most of our tree species are disappearing from the forest, because you cut today, you will not see another tree growing for you to cut down, because you cannot last all the years that the tree will take to mature. So this has really affected the exploitation of the tropical rainforest very much. Besides, we have problem of various types of disease-carrying organisms. We have insects like mosquitoes, flies, which have which have been harbored in the tropical rainforest areas. And there are also wild animals. All these are dangerous organisms to people, because the flies can infect the lumbermen with the diseases, sleeping sickness. Malarias are very rampant among the lumbermen. Sometimes they are attacked by wild animals like lions. So this has actually endangered the lives of the people who exploit the tropical rainforest tree species. Then lastly, we have the problem of accessibility within the tropical rainforests. It is very hard because of the dense nature of the tree species. The trees grow very close to each other. So it is rather very hard to access deep into the areas of the tropical rainforest to be able to look and exploit the quality tree species. Now, if you want to understand this topic very well, I ask you to go and revise your topic of exploitation of trees, forest resources in British Columbia. You find out the differences of the characteristics of the trees in British Columbia, and as well as the method of exploitation. It will give you a clear way of understanding the problems involved in the exploitation of the tropical rainforests. Then lastly, just as a matter of conclusion, we shall look at the solutions to the problems affecting the exploitation of the tropical rainforest resources. First of all, the shortage of capital is being solved by borrowing money from donor countries, borrow money from IMF, from the World Bank. Even internally, the lumbermen can borrow, or the investors can borrow money from financial institutions like banks to cover up that problem of capital gap. Then secondly, the respective governments of the East African region have embarked on with the program of introducing technically biased schools, education system. For example, in Uganda now we have a new curriculum. This new curriculum is a technically driven curriculum which produces a skilled labor force rather than a theoretical labor force. So with these changes in the education system, the government is trying to solve the problem of shortage of skilled manpower. Also, the problem of transport network is being solved by constructing feeder roads. These feeder roads are constructed with a good improved system. For example, tarmac roads, so that they cannot be easily destroyed by the terrible weather, a lot of rainfall in the tropical rainforest areas. The problem of shortage of internal market, is solved by promoting regional integration. For example, we have the East African community, which involves Uganda, Kenya, Tanzania. So this means that these countries will bring all their market together. All the population will come together, rather than Uganda selling its forest products only to Ugandans. So Uganda can sell its products to forest products to Kenya, to Kenyans, or to Tanzanians, or to Rwandese, and so on. This helps to widen the market base for the tropical rainforest. Dear students, the remaining aspects of these topics, of this last topic, of the solutions are very few, so you should be able to conclude. I want to give you more time to revise on your own so that you can understand it better. Then afterwards we shall come and revise together when we get that time. Otherwise, I first of all thank you very much for being a good student and opening this lesson, following it, and understanding it. Please, I wish you a very beautiful day and take good care of yourselves. This has been a wonderful lesson. Thank you.